Hello and welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and you can find more information about the projects that I create on my blog at www.stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. I am here today with a Halloween class, finally. So it is the Potions and Spells Bundle Card Class. The difference with the class today is, even though this is a public video and everybody can watch it on YouTube, I am actually going to be physically cutting these card kits and mailing these card kits to people who place orders with me between July 21st and 31st, 2024. So I'm going to run this class just a little bit differently. Like I said, the video for all 6 cards is going to be available to everybody. For people who place an order of $50 to $99, they're going to get 3 card kits, the project sheet, which will include the measurements, the instructions, and the products used on the cards, in addition to the actual card kits that are going to be mailed. They're also going to get a bonus video, the Playful Ghosts version of the cards that you're going to see today. And there's going to be more detail as I go throughout the video. I'll be sort of repeating these details because I know it's a lot of information and I know it's new. It's a little bit different for me. So I can appreciate that. But this is what I call a free class with purchase. So this is something, I know other demonstrators do this as well, but this is something that I have been trying with my In Color Club this year, and it's been going really well. So I really wanted to offer this opportunity with this Halloween card class as well. Now with my In Color Club, those video tutorials are not public, and this one is. So here's the difference. When you place that order for $50 or more, so between $50 and $99, you're going to get 3 card kits, and I'm going to show you what those 3 card kits are. You're going to get this card here, and this is a fun fold. Very, very simple fun fold, but a fun fold. Okay, so you're going to get that one, and I'm going to show these down on the table too, but we'll just go through this quickly. You're going to get this card here. Okay. And then you're also going to get this card. And so this one, if you're paying attention, actually features another stamp set, which we will go through. But this is another one of my favorite fun folds. This is a bookbind fold card. Okay. So these 3 cards here, let me just bring them up. Okay, so these 3 cards, if you place a $50 order with me between July 21st and 31st, 2024, I will physically cut those card kits and mail them to you. So I do the cutting, the scoring, and the die cutting. You will do the stamping, the gluing, and the assembly of your cards, okay? If you make a $100 purchase with me between, and 100 or more, you're going to get 3 more card kits. So I'm going to show you those 3 card kits here in just a minute. But again, between July 21st and 31st, 2024, then you'll actually get 6 card kits that are going to be sent to you. And here is what the other 3 look like. So here we have a back fold. I have been making these back fold cards nonstop. Let me just open that up for you. Isn't that cute? So that is a back fold card. So this is one of the cards. This is one of the cards. How colorful and fun is this one? Okay, so we have this one. And like I said, I'll show them again down on the table here when we get into making these cards. But I could not resist. Now, this card in particular, let me see if you can see that well. There's so much die cutting to this card. So the fact that I will be die cutting all of these pieces in a card kit and sending it to you, that's why this card is at the $100 level, because that is going to be a lot of work. But oh my gosh, is it worth it? How cute is this card? I just absolutely love the way that that card turned out. I'm going to be using a bunch of dies, you know, different things. I'm going to be using different types of DSP or pattern paper throughout our class. But that's what's different about today's video. So if you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask. You can leave me a comment here on YouTube. You can leave me a comment on Facebook. The best way to reach out to me is directly. So if you email me at stampingwithhart, H-A-R-T, at gmail.com, stampingwithhart@gmail.com. If you have any questions about this class, I would be happy to answer them. But let me try to answer some of the questions right now. So the reason that I'm making this video public for everybody to see, so if you want to make these cards on your own, without the project sheet and without the card kits actually being cut for you, you still have the full class. You have all the ideas and you can run with it. I did that because I actually have a Facebook group, and you are welcome to join that group if you would like. I will put the link to that Facebook group in the description box below. It's called the Heart of Halloween Facebook group. I started this Facebook group last year when Paper Pumpkin announced that they didn't technically announce that they weren't going to do a Halloween kit, but they basically removed the Halloween kit from the lineup. And I really loved that kit. So I created this Facebook group where we could kind of come up with some Halloween ideas because we didn't have the kit. And I am keeping that group open, but this year I've changed the format a little bit, and we're just going to focus on all current Stampin' Up! Halloween product from now until Halloween. So we have these new online exclusive products that they just made available to us in July, and that is the Potions and Spells bundle. It is the Playful Ghosts stamp set. And then we will have a holiday catalog coming out in September. And there is a lot of annual catalog product that we can actually use for Halloween, including one of those stamps that's going to be featured in today's video, which is the Under the Moon stamp set. I cannot communicate to you enough how fabulous that stamp set is. So we're going to get into this class, but I need to tell you just a few things first. If you would like to join the Facebook group, that's great. The reason that the video is public is because I have a lot of demonstrators who follow me, and demonstrators can't order from each other. So demonstrators are not going to be able to get my card kits. I don't offer a separate purchase, just the card kits, that type of thing. It's the only way to get these card kits is when you place an online order with me in the Stampin' Up! Store. So you go to stampinup.com, you select me as your demonstrator, you place a $50 order or a $100 order between July 21st and 31st, 2024, and you will qualify for these card kits. And because this is going to be running for that period of time, I'm going to be leaving that open. So I'm going to wait until the 31st to close this class and then order all of the product that I need to cut all the kits and ship them to you, which is why the ship date for these cards I'm anticipating will be mid-August. I am aiming for August 15th. So you'll get your card kits in the mail from me in mid-August, and that is when I will email you the PDF project sheet for the cards. I will email you your tracking number. I mail these with tracking, so I go through USPS. And then you're also going to get the bonus Playful Ghosts video, which will not be public. That will only be for people who place the order. Now, that said, I will be photographing and posting all of the cards that I made for you to see. So like I said, for demonstrators, even though you can't place the order with me or get the card kits, you will have access to seeing every project that I made. I'll be showing them throughout the video. I'll have pictures posted here and on Pinterest and on my pages and all of that. I will have all of the information on my blog, okay? But the class kits are specifically for people who place orders with me. I used to do something called host code rewards, and I stopped doing that. So instead of doing host code rewards at this point, I'm just offering the free class with purchase. So I'm the one who's paying to ship these card kits to you. I am taking the time to cut and ship the card kits to you. And that is a service that I like to offer as your demonstrator. So as a thank you for you choosing me as your demonstrator, you're going to get these free classes from me. So 3 card kits at the $50 level, 6 card kits at the $100 level, okay? And I'll be talking to you about the products that I use all throughout this class. They did not come out with Halloween designer series paper or Halloween pattern paper to go with the online exclusive products. So we're going to get creative with that, okay? I will be including designer series paper in your card kits, and I will tell you what designer series paper I am using and that I love that we can substitute or turn into Halloween until we see the official mini catalog for September to December, which we lovingly call the holiday catalog. But that's later. For those of us who really want to get started early, we want to start now. Like I said, all of this, these are all cards, and not everybody does Halloween cards, and I understand that. But you could take these ideas, you could take these card layouts, you could take these fun folds, you could turn them into any occasion. So if you're doing Christmas in July, which I adore, but I could not pass up the opportunity to work with these Halloween products because I was so worried that they were going to sell out. So they are still available, I'm so happy to say. And we're going to really have fun with this product in this class today. So for those of you who are wondering about this Playful Ghosts thing, let me show you the Playful Ghost cards too. Okay, so like I was saying, these are our Halloween cards, right? And I took those same exact card kits because I wanted you to have ideas. So I took these same card kits and I also did them in Playful Ghosts. So for example, here is the regular version. Here is the Playful Ghosts version. Here is the Playful Ghosts version of this card. Okay. Here is the Playful Ghosts version of this card. And again, I'll show them on a table. This is going to be a longer video today, but you can just fast forward and watch the things that you want to watch. Okay. And then this is the Playful Ghosts version of this card, right? So the same card kits, but you're going to get completely different ideas from a different Halloween stamp set with Playful Ghosts. Okay. So that is going to be a separate video tutorial where I'll show you the coloring and the products and the colors and everything that I used. And here is the Playful Ghost version of this card. Isn't this just so precious? Okay, so there you go. And like I said, I'll be talking in more detail all throughout this video, but we're going to have ideas with both the Potions and Spells bundle, which is what this class is about. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is this bird, this book, this stack of books, this cat. These are die cuts that require a specific stamp from Potions and Spells. With my card classes, I usually stay more general with shapes like circles and rectangles. You're still going to get circles and rectangles and shapes where you can stamp whatever image you want into that if you're going to be using a different stamp set. But I do have to let you know, because this is a Potions and Spells class, I am going to be including these specific die cuts as part of your kit. Whether or not you choose to use them is entirely up to you, but they are going to be in the kit because I am going to assume that you're going to be working with that particular set. Now, if you want to remove the cat, right, you don't want to use the cat die cut because you don't have the stamp, just stamp whatever your favorite Halloween image is into the card, right? That would be the alternative there. And I'll be suggesting that through the class as well. But those are the details for this class. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'll have the information up on my blog. I will have, I will be watching my email for questions, anything like that. But here's 2 other important things that you should know going into tomorrow. So I'm filming this on July 22nd. On July 23rd, we are going to be having a free shipping on orders of 75 or more. That's one day only. All right. So if you want to place your order for, the Halloween class on the 23rd to get free shipping, which I always recommend, you will get free shipping if you place this order on the 23rd. We also have something called bonus days happening in July. For every $50 that you spend, you earn a $5 coupon from Stampin' Up that you can redeem in the month of August. So you can accumulate your bonus days coupons in July as you spend and then redeem them in August. So we have that coming up. And Paper Pumpkin just announced that they are going to have up to 75% off refills, pass kits, and add-on items for active Paper Pumpkin subscribers between July 23rd and July 25th. So I understand that this is a lot of information, but wow. I mean, there is so much opportunity for savings. Plus, you're going to get these card kits from me. So I hope that that is just good news across the board. I hope that makes you very happy. It makes me happy. Please excuse my mess. I'm literally filming this as my whole dining room is still destroyed from creating this class. Plus, I'm in the middle of cutting card kits for my In Color Club. And for those of you who are participating in my In Color Club, if you want to get your August Color Club products, which will be Shy Shamrock, if you want to collect your Shy Shamrock products or put in your club order on free shipping day, please do that. I will absolutely honor that. Okay, so here are cards 1 through 3 of all 6 cards. We're going to do this 3 and 3. These are the 3 cards that you get when you place a $50 order with me in the online store between July 21st and 31st, 2024. So we're going to kick it off with these, and then after we're finished with these 3, we'll make the other 3 cards, which you would get if you make a purchase at the $100 level. And this is the fun fold that we are starting with, our Cauldron card. So we have a cauldron that has been die cut in basic black cardstock. Our card base is in Granny Apple Green. This is one of our simpler fun folds. All right, and let me give you the measurements on this particular fun fold. It is cut at 5.5 inches by 11, and we are going to be scoring our card base in 3 spots. So essentially, this is what a card kit looks like, you guys, where everything's in the plastic. I'm sort of packing it up and setting it off to the side. So let me just tell you that really quick. But we're going to be scoring this at 4 1/4, 5.5, and 6 3/4 inches. And then we're basically going to sort of do the Mountain Valley fold with this so that our card looks like an M essentially when we fold it like that. You see how that folds in, and we're going to glue those 2 pieces together, which you'll see me do in just a second, but that actually becomes just a really simple fun fold element. And then I did use the deckled circle dies. I also used deckled rectangles for this card to sort of keep the theme. I am stamping Happy Halloween in the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This particular die cut that you're going to get in your kit is actually from the Adventurous Sky dies. I used several dies from that particular set because they did go well with this Halloween class. There is a 2 by 5.5 inch DSP strip on the front of this Granny Apple Green card, and that DSP is from the Brights Designer Series paperback 6x6 size. I wanted to definitely include, some fun stamps on the inside. So I'm just stamping our crow or raven or bird, whatever you want to refer to it as. So just really simple stamping for the outside and for the inside of this card. So one of the things that I try to do with my card classes is I don't want them to be intimidating. I want you to feel like you can do these cards, make these cards right along with me. I want them to be easy. I want them to be fun. I want them to be cute. And I know that Halloween cards might not be the most popular thing, but honestly, they're so much fun to design and to make. And of course, you could take the designs from these cards and you could just put them on, a treat bag or a treat box or something like that instead if you would prefer to, hand out treats. So here's the fun fold element of our card base here. This is Granny Apple Green. What we're going to do is put some Stampin' Sale Plus right on the insides of these, and then we're going to kind of fold it closed. So similar to like a bookbind fold, but we have two score lines here. So we're just going to fold these together, and it's going to kind of look like an M once we have that part sealed. And then we're going to decorate the inside of our card a little bit with this one. But this was a fun fold that I thought was really cute, but not too intimidating. So if you're just getting started with card classes, or if you're just getting started with fun folds, I wanted these to be super easy to do and to understand. And I hope that you really love this class as much as I loved creating it. What I did was just glued our die cuts just really simply to the cauldron. So we got our goo on there. We have our greeting right across the front. It's such a nice fit for the cauldron, this die from the Adventurous Sky Dies. So I highly recommend that if you have that in your collection. Here, this strip you might recognize because it has been so popular this summer. Our Lily Pond Lane Designer Series paper is surprisingly wonderful for Halloween, a substitute for Halloween DSP until we get some in the holiday catalog, which won't be until September. So for this class that we're doing in July, we're just gonna figure it out. We're just gonna kind of make it happen. So I'll be providing those little bits of, DSP in your card kits. So that's part of the design for you, right? Like just kind of figuring it out. And I do love a creative challenge like that. I do love improvising or coming up with like alternative ideas. Of course, for those of you who follow my paper pumpkin videos, I do that with the kits every month. Now, this DSP is from Country Woods, and let's talk about how wonderful they are for Halloween as well. And for all occasions, really. It's such a versatile paper pack, but there's two of them. And that was a 4x5 1/4 panel, by the way. And now this is our fun fold element. We're going to take our deckled rectangle and we are going to adhere it to this little flap that we created. And it's going to be just that little fold right there. So that's what turns this card into our fun fold. So nice and simple. Basic stamping, just one ink color. I'm going to finish up here with these sparkle gems. They come in like silver, black, and gold. They're so beautiful. There are so many embellishments that you could use to substitute, until we get like a specific Halloween embellishment. They also did not come out with specific Halloween embellishments, but this is a fabulous pack for this, and I use this all throughout the class, so you'll see it as we go along. As a matter of fact, I think I have them on all 6 cards, but we'll find out as we go through and do the voiceover in this video. But that is our first card. Just really simple fun fold, showcasing our Potions and Spells bundle. And here we have our second card. So this is probably the cleanest card out of all 6 cards. So here we are going to stamp our bird, and see how I'm removing that little piece of scrap paper? I have a really hard time lining it up if it's white on white. So just a little tip from me, just line it up. If you have, like I have this is a foam pad that I'm stamping on because we're working with photopolymer stamps, and having that little bit of extra cushion is nice. It really helps get you a nice, clean, crisp image. But I like stamping against the black because when you receive your card kits from me, your cauldron's already going to be die cut. The bird is already going to be die cut. So you'll just line up your stamp just the way that I did. So I just find it easier to do that against the black rather than the white background. Okay, and so I just stamped our Happy Halloween greeting right along the bottom. Now, that frame that you see right there, that was actually created with our Garden Meadow die. I I use this die all the time. I mean, I use it so much, and I am so desperate for Stampin' Up! To bring back oval dies. I sincerely hope we have some great ovals in the upcoming holiday catalog, but we have plenty of dies to work with throughout this class, and you'll see there's lots and lots of die cuts on these cards. So these are detailed. Even though they're simple with the stamping, they are still detailed cards. Okay, now I am a big fan of using our Stampin' Blends alcohol-based markers. I am using the Pebbled Path combo pack to color our bird, and I'm doing very basic coloring where I started with the dark and I just kind of did like the edges and the bottoms of the feathers and the bottom of the belly where there might be some shadow or where there might be some more detail. And then I'm coming in with the light pebbled path and just kind of coloring it in. I'm trying not to go over the darker areas. I don't want to kind of erase what I just did. The Stampin' Blends, they blend beautifully together. And I'm bringing in the pumpkin pie combo pack to do the feet, the legs, and the beak. And then I'm also going to bring in my Stampin' Right basic black marker to kind of strengthen up the eye on the stamp. You don't have to do this. It's totally optional. And then also kind of darkening the mouth to kind of make the beak stand out a little bit. So you can, you can keep your coloring to a minimum. You can use whatever your favorite coloring element is. This is just basic white cardstock that the die cuts are cut out on that you can color. But like the bird's going to be die cut in white, for example. Optional if you want to stamp the cauldron, right? But I think it does really add some detail there. Now, this is our jute trim, the 2022, 2020, no, that was wrong. 2023, 2025 in colors. Pebbled Path is one of them. And there was this jute trim that came out last year. And I really wanted to add some texture. And this is super curly because it's like on a spool. And I thought, I wonder if I could do something fun with that. So, you'll have a piece of the jute trim in your card kit that you can kind of play around with and see what you want to do. But I was just kind of messing with the curly cues there, just trying to kind of find just a way for it to lay down. Jute trim is a little bit thicker, so it's kind of on the bulkier side. It's up to you whether or not you want to add it to your card. This one would require extra postage, with the jute trim in there. And even with the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back, the jute trim, once I tied it, like that little knot is actually a little bit wider. So just something to be aware of. This is a gorgeous grape card base, 4¼ by 11 card base, just simple, no fun fold element to this. This is one of our cleaner cards, simpler cards. And so we have our basic white frame, and then we're going to do our pumpkin pie as our pop of color for the insert for the frame. Now you can glue that straight down to the card base like I'm doing here. And then what I like to do with this particular, when we do this layering element, I like to bring that forward a little bit with dimensionals. You don't have to do this. There's a lot of dimension on this card. You can keep it flat, but I like to add dimension there. I like for it to pop up just a little bit. So we're going to place our cauldron behind it. I'm not going to do anything fancy, no fancy, blending brush shading with this particular card, but you are going to see me do that later. But if you do like those little fun techniques and things like that, you could still stamp the bubbles, coming out of the cauldron. You could, there are so many different ways. Like if you like to heat emboss, you could add the heat embossing element to the cauldron. I really, didn't want to overcomplicate the class, but you'll see, all throughout the season, you'll be seeing things like that from me. But I didn't want you to feel like you needed to have the heat emboss products, but we will be using that not in this class, but a little bit later on. So one of the perks that is going to happen with this free class with purchase, what I did here was I made, and I'm just using little adhesive dots that I have left over from my paper pumpkin kits. You could use mini glue dots, whatever you want. If you want to hold that jute trim in place, if you want it to just kind of be like loose, that's fine. But I wanted to kind of hold it in place. Now, one of the most fun things about the Potions and Spells bundle, of course, is this broom. How cool is this die cut broom? So, I'm just trying to find my position for the broom, but there was no way I was doing this card without this broom. You guys are really I think you're really gonna have fun with this class, however you decide to position it on your cards when you get them home. But yeah, so cool. And then we're gonna go ahead and add some of those, what I'm blanking, sparkle gems, on the sparkle gems there, and I'm adding the black shade. So it was really hard for me to not stamp that entire arch, like that basic white arch. For me, I would be coloring that. I would be, um, what do we call that? I would be embossing it. I'd be doing all kinds of things, but I really try to just keep it nice and plain and simple. And it really does stand out. Like it really has like a nice bold look to it. This is a gorgeous grape card base. So I do like to put a basic white insert inside the card. And of course you can stamp and decorate that if you like as well. All right, and so there is our finished card, and that is card 2. So this is card 2 of 3 for our free class with purchase. If you purchase with me at the $50 level between July 21st and 31st, 2024, you will get these 3 card kits from me, and I'm expecting to mail them by August 15th if everything goes smoothly. But I left you guys hanging on what the little bonus element is going to be. So what I did, and you're kind of seeing it here, every card that I made in the Potions and Spells bundle, I also made a card in the same either format or layout with the same pieces. I also did it with playful ghosts. So if you place an order with me for $50 or $100, you're going to get the playful ghosts bonus class. So you'll get to see all the same card kits, but how I kind of tweak them, change them, how I do the layouts for playful ghosts, and it's going to be fabulous. So I was so happy to be able to do that and to offer that, because I didn't want to do a 2-hour video, and even though I did decide to make this video public, I wanted to have something that would be exclusive to the people who are doing the free purchase in the end of July for this class. So you will get the Playful Ghosts class with the same card kits. Isn't that fun? And so that's going to be great. This is a moon, by the way. Okay, so here, let me talk about this for a second. Basic Beige, which is a new color for us this year at Stampin' Up. Basic Beige is the color that you didn't know that you needed for Halloween. If you do not have the Basic Beige products, I cannot recommend them enough. It is such a fabulous, like, neutral anchor, however you want to describe it. But wait, I mean, look at that moon. Look at that moon in basic white stamped with basic beige. Now, I was mentioning before, it's kind of a hodgepodge of DSP, right? Like I was kind of adapting and improvising with the different designer papers because we don't have a specific Halloween one, right? So the Country Lace and Country Woods DSP packs both have basic beige in them. This is the Under the Moon stamp set. So one thing that I do like to with my classes is mix and match product. Now, the big focus on this class is the Potions and Spells bundle, but I do bring in other elements. Okay, so I could not resist, and you guys are going to see the Under the Moon stamp set from me pretty much leading up to Halloween with multiple scenes, but we're going to use it in this basic cool way today. We're going to stamp Double Double Toil and Trouble right on top of our moon. When you first stamp the moon in basic beige, like it's going to look really dark, but once it dries, it looks so beautiful, and it doesn't take long to dry. It's such a beautiful moon. There's so many different combinations that you could do with a moon color. You could do any of our grays. You could do lemon lolly. You could do, you could do very vanilla, but I really like beige for the moon with white. So whatever you guys want to do, but that moon punches out with our 2 3/8 inch circle punch beautifully. Like it is a beautiful fit. So you're going to get a punch, like a punched out circle in that measurement with this card kit, and you can do whatever you like with it. I highly recommend the Under the Moon stamp set. It is going to be so beautiful. And so I'm actually working with that stamp set for my club this month too, in the day version. So it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's so much fun. I had to at least show this to you and include it in some way as part of our class. I love the way that this bookbind fold turned out. So this is a basic fun fold for us, and this is card 3. So this is the card that you're going to get at the $50 level, like I was saying. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that stampers and crafters also adore books. And I could not get enough of that book stamp. So what I did for the book bind, the strip, I just stamped the books vertically and I just stacked them. Now I just lined up the stamp for the cat and I stamped the cat. I stamped the books, the cat, and the greeting all in Memento Tuxedo Black. And of course that moon was stamped in basic beige. And now I am lining this up. So this particular DSP or this particular designer paper is actually from Country Lace. So if you already have this, dig this out. You're going to want to use this, I have a feeling. Now, a lot of times when I am in design mode, I'm filming myself while I'm designing or while I'm sort of improvising. And anytime there's a moon, I feel like there should be clouds. Now, remember how I mentioned Take to the Sky? Take to the Sky has these fabulous cloud dies, and Under the Moon has these fabulous moody clouds. Okay. They are not designed to go together. They're not the same shape, but instead of me pulling out the Take to the Sky, stamps and add even more stamps to this, I thought, what if I just include a cloud die cut for you in the kit? I'm using, the Adventurous Sky dies to create that, to cut out that cloud for you in white. But I'm going to stamp it and I'm going to layer stamp it with the Under the Moon clouds. Now, the idea for this actually came from Playful Ghosts because Playful Ghosts has a solid cloud stamp. Very cutesy, smaller in scale. This is like a really moody, to me, I like when I see this kind of a cloud, like I'm all about this for Halloween. I love sky scenes. I love night scenes. I like day and sunset ones too, actually, but all I'm doing is just trying to stamp in layers all over this die because number one, it's large and it's not a perfect fit for that particular, cloud stamp. Now, you guys can do this however you want. You don't have to stamp it. You can leave it white. You could always just color around the edges with your blending brush or your daubers or something if you want to make it a little bit colorful or moody, or you don't have to add it at all. Now, originally I was going to do 2 clouds, but they're so big. I was like, I don't think I need it for that scale. So what I decided to do was just trim it down. So I'm kind of doing it like 2/3 and 1/3. So I cut the cloud at kind of 2/3, and then I put the remaining piece on the other side of the moon. So you're going to see how that layout works out. It's actually a really simple layout. And it turned out, I thought, really cute. So I'm bringing my books back in again, and now I'm just kind of creating a little bit of like a stacked look, but I'm doing them at different levels. So I'm just kind of like doing like a descending stack of books. And that's just to kind of give it like a cool, messy, double toil and trouble look to it. We're also going to color our cat, and I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends to color the cat, but you can, again, whatever your favorite medium is to color, and you don't have to include the cat if you don't want to, but you will get the cat die cut in your kit. So I just want to keep repeating that because this is unusual for me to include specific die cuts that coordinate with a specific stamp. But because this is all about potions and spells, I really wanted to provide those for you. And I know that there are several of you who have actually already gotten the bundle. So I know that a lot of you are really loving this, and you're planning to use it anyway. So, but if you don't want to use the cat, you don't have to. You could turn the cat into a silhouette. You don't have to necessarily have the stamp, but it helps. It definitely helps. This is the basic black Stampin' Blend combo pack, and this is again very basic coloring. I'm just kind of following what the designer created, like wherever the lines were, the detail lines on the cat. I was just kind of doing the darker black with those lines, and then just kind of filling in. And I am being careful around the eyes and the nose because the nose on this cat is really small, and I did want to make that a different color. So for the eyes on the cat, I color it a different way on two. I think I have two cats in this class. In this one I did the granny apple green eyes, and then just the tiniest little dot of pretty in pink, the light. So you could use whatever combination you want, but those were the colors that I used. And now this is our basic beige card base. This is a book bind fun fold, so again a nice simple fold. Our layering piece are in basic black cardstock, and then here with our country lace, I used the basic beige side, and then we just sort of created our own pattern paper with that book stamp from the Potions and Spells bundle. Here is our layering piece for like the wider part of our book bind. We're going to put this down first, and then we're going to kind of build our scene on the front of this card. So you do have a lot of wiggle room as to how you want your final card to look. You can keep it very simple and clean. Don't feel like you have to do all that background stamping if you don't want to, but I like to show you those options, and I just personally really like that. Now, this is our black and vanilla. I think it's large check gingham ribbon. And this is an almost perfect match to basic beige. It's so close. So basic beige and very vanilla do look different. They are in the same family, but for some reason, this ribbon looks phenomenal with the basic beige. So yes, we will be having a little bit of our gingham ribbon here in the black and very vanilla in our card class. And so on the inside, what we're going to do now that I have my ribbon tied and kind of positioned is I'm putting my adhesive all over it. I like to use Stampin' Seal Plus because it's a little bit of a stronger adhesive. And then once I have that pushed down, I'm just kind of, you can see I'm warming up my score line there for how our fun fold is going to open. Again, very simple fun fold. If you've taken classes from me before, you have almost certainly seen the book bind fold card. I love this one. And I felt like I needed to use the book bind at least once because I was doing a book theme with this. So now we are adding our moon. Wherever you think is best for your moon. I kind of offset mine, and I'm going to have the cat like in the opposite spot of the moon. So I put the cat everything up on dimensionals pretty much. I put the moon up on dimensionals. Here you can see I just took my paper snip scissors and added a little notch. So once I kind of found like where I wanted my cloud to end, I snipped it and then cut it with my paper trimmer because I cannot cut straight. I mean, I just cannot. So I just use my trimmer for that. And now we're just taking the two halves, or 2/3 and 1/3 of this cloud that we stamped, and we're just adding this to our scene. How cool does that look? Okay, so even though that cloud doesn't necessarily match, okay, if you have Adventurous Sky, just use that cloud stamp if you want. That's fine. That's the one that's supposed to match this, but I had to use Under the Moon. I'm just obsessed with that stamp set. I really am. So here I'm just adding a little bit of that like little spell magic, star look. And I stamped 3 of those just along where the books were. And now we're going to take our cat, we're going to pop our cat up on dimensionals and just position our cat in this kind of like blank space area here. So where I have sort of the most open space is where we're going to put our cat. And then we are going to finish with just a couple of our sparkle gems. I'm trying to remember what color I used on this card. I think I used silver with the sparkle gems. And then of course we're going to do a basic stamp on the inside as well for our greeting. Okay, yeah, silver for the win on this one. And I think that this turned out absolutely beautiful. I love this card. You know, I tend to always have a favorite, but I really liked all of them. I really liked all of them. But this one was a lot of fun. I'll be honest, I wanted to put that moon everywhere, but I really did want to try to stick to potions and spells. So 2 of the 3 cards from our first class, our first round of class kits is, is exclusively potions and spells. And then this one, we kind of snuck some additional product in there, but that's okay because the die cuts and the ribbon or everything will already be in your card kit for you. Okay, so here is the next level, 3 cards from the Potions and Spells bundle class. Okay, so if you place an order with me between July 21st and 31st, 2024 at the $100 level, you're going to get 3 additional card kits, and here they are. This is the most detailed card I have ever offered in a class, and it takes so much time to die cut all of that. But I do think it will be worth it. I did want it to be special. I did think twice about it, but I love all 3 of these cards. We have 2 fun folds, and then we have like a standard card, but that standard card has so much detail on it. So let's go ahead and get started with these 3. Now, initially when I was recording, I was having problem with my lighting equipment in my office, so I moved to my dining room. And the problem with moving to my dining room is that I have a glass tabletop and it reflects the light. So I had to find a way to stop that light, to stop that glare on the glass, and it was driving me crazy. So I ended up getting a tile and putting a tile on the table, and that was fine. Like it's like a ceramic tile, and it really helps to cut away, and we don't have that glare. Now, this is our gray granite cardstock. I'm cutting a back fold card. This was actually the very first card that I designed, which is why you guys are seeing the regular table and not the the ceramic tile. But with the back fold, it's just a slightly different measurement. And like I said, I'll have all the measurements on the project sheet, but I have other videos where I do have the back fold measurements listed, and this is the same, but it is 5.5 by 7.5, and then you score it at 3.25 and 6.5, and then you have this back fold element here, and it's just such an easy, cute, fun fold. I feel like I use it in every class just because I love it so much. I tend to do that, like if I really love something, but I am trying to add variety into my classes as well. So just wanted you to see the cut on that fun fold there. But again, I will have all of the measurements and everything on the project sheet.
Okay, now I do feel like gray granite is light enough cardstock that you don't necessarily need a layer on the inside of your card, but it's just cute. So we're going to do a basic white layer, 3 inches by 5 1/4 inches for the inside here. And we're also going to be bringing in basic black. So gray granite is like one of my best friends. It is one of my favorite colors, particularly for Halloween. I really, really wanted to have a card in this class that was a black, white, and gray theme. Black, white, and gray colors. Feel free to add a pop of color to your card if you want to. I actually did do that for the Playful Ghost version of the card, but for this card, it really stuck true to my original idea, like design in my mind. So we have our basic black layers here that we're going to be using. And then we're going to use DSP from, this is from Lily Pond Lane. Now, that said, you can also get grays from other cardstock. So you can figure out like what works best for you, but the Take to the Sky designer series paper, Country Woods, Country Lace, Lily Pond Lane, they all have great gray options for you that you can use to substitute or kind of create your own pattern paper with your stamps until we can get access to some official Halloween pattern paper. So I am trimming this down to size, and I believe that that panel is 3 by 5 1/4 for the basic black, and then just a 1/4 inch shorter or shy of that for the DSP pattern. Now that speckled DSP is fine on its own. So don't feel like, you need to have, um, you know, a stamped background, but I love to create them, which is why I'm showing them to you in this class. This is the Neutrals designer series paper. So our Neutrals collection, it's comprised of 10 different colors, and this Neutrals designer series paper features a variety of each of those colors. So I did use some Lily Pond Lane, and I'm also using a strip from the Neutrals in the gray granite along with our basic black layers here. The thinner strip, that thinner black strip, was cut at, I believe, 7/8. And then this one is cut at 3/4 by 5 1/4. So you can see the way that those sort of line up, and you can use whatever combination that you like or whichever side that you like. But I was definitely going for an overall gray look with this card. Okay. So even though there are patterns on both of this paper, I still felt like I could create additional patterns on top of that. So I am taking that little, it's like a star cluster, and I'm just stamping it all over. There's 2 of them. One has more of like a curve to it. So I'm just kind of doing that, like I'm trying to think what the word is. I'm thinking toggle, but alternate. And then, we're going to come back in with the one that's a little bit more straight and then just try to fill. Now, it doesn't have to be this busy, but I really wanted a bold, full pattern for this particular strip. So there's a nice bit of variety, and how often or how much we use stamps in this class. So I definitely welcome your opinion and what you think on that. But I love the way that it looks, even though there's a ton of stamps. It goes really fast. Okay, and of course it's completely different than the other cards that we just did, right? So we're going to do the same thing with this larger designer series paper panel. I have to say I do love the splatter, and I think that the splatter is fine. but I really want to showcase this bundle for you so you can decide what you want to do in terms of how many stamps you want. Now, these two die cuts that you see here, those are actually from the Round We Go bundle. That's actually the featured bundle for my In Color Club this month. And I just thought it was really cute. And so I wanted to try to incorporate at least, one or two dies from that into this class. And so those were the two that I picked. Now, you've seen a lot of the die cut cauldron and in combination, stamping on the die cut cauldron. And now this time we're going to stamp directly onto the DSP. So we're going to stamp a cauldron scene. So instead of having a cauldron die cut, we're going to stamp it right onto our DSP. Now I realize that it kind of trims off the edges of that. It's just slightly over 3 inches, that stamp, but I thought it was absolutely fine, particularly with the black border around it. Like once you see it complete, I think it looks great. And then I just stamped the bubbles coming right out of the cauldron. So because this is a photopolymer stamp set, this is easier to line up. And we're going to do our double toil and trouble stamp up in the upper left hand corner. And you can see that does take up a lot of space, that stamp. So if you are somebody that when you're stamping, you're trying to fill space, that is going to be a great option for you. Now, I love the way that the bubbles look like they're coming up here off of the side. And let me just show you that there are individual bubbles as well. There is a small, a medium, and a large. There are stamp individual bubbles, and there's also die cut individual bubbles. I did not include die cut individual bubbles in the class kits just because I already had so much going on in terms of how many pieces I will have to die cut for these class kits. But I did really want to showcase all of the bubbles, the cluster bubble stamp initially, and then how you can really add to a scene with that. And of course, this is, all in Memento Tuxedo Black, so really, really easy. And then one of the cool things is even though you can stop right there, you don't have to do anything else. You've stamped your scene. You can add to it, right? So if you have your markers, if you want to take it a little bit further, just bring in a little bit more detail there, right? Like think about all of the fun that the designers who are creating these designer series papers have when they're creating this for us. Sometimes they're hand painting or hand coloring. Sometimes they're usually like using natural elements. Sometimes they're doing like computer generated imagery. So they probably have so much fun with this. And that's what I want you to do when you're sort of creating your own pattern paper. Like we're basically creating our own Halloween paper here. It's a really cute, simple scene, but just by bringing in a little bit of the gray granite marker, look at how that adds shadow to that cauldron. Now here, I was experimenting with this. You can decide what you want to do. But one of the things that I noticed that I really like is sort of like dramatic edging or smearing almost. I've seen people take like ink pads and go all the way across their paper to kind of create like a faux wood look. This is just kind of going around those edges and just experimenting, just playing a little bit. So I'm just very lightly taking my paper and with my finger sort of pressing it towards the ink pad as I'm wiping the ink pad away. And an initial round of that and just like the very slight edging is fine. But this is Halloween, right? Like I really wanted it to be smudgy. So I actually, really went in for those corners there. And I thought it looked really cool. Now you don't have to do that, but again, that can be a little fun added element. And the whole like the whole idea of like the potions and the spells is that we're dealing with bubbles or we're dealing with goo or we're dealing with like smoke or something like that. So it's like you always have this sort of ambiance like feeling with that. So I thought that that was a fun add to the paper. Now we're just going to put our scene on the layer now. And again, you can see the back. Isn't that funny how it's like it's like summer to Halloween in a half a second. So this is that ever popular Lily Pond Lane DSP. It's so much fun. But I mean, I feel like there is a dramatic difference in the side, the two sides of the paper patterns. And you can see when you're working with the duck bundle, gray granite is like one of the anchor colors all throughout the paper. But when you take it out of context, and you start using it for Halloween instead of ducks, like it makes sense. So I really like that we have sort of a mixed pattern on our little strip there. Like, I feel like because it's a smaller strip, it could be a little bit busier, and it looks really good. Now, our outer die from Round We Go is cut in basic white, and then, of course, basic black for the inner circle. And then we are going to do our bird as the die cut element here. I was having a conversation with my mom about this, and she said, "Oh, you really need a pop of color on there." And I said, "I really wanted the monochromatic look. Like, I really wanted the black, white, and gray, sort of like neutral almost look. But if you really think more along those lines of like, oh boy, that really needs some color, I need a pop of color, instead of the black ink, maybe bring in your pumpkin pie or your purple. That could be a lot of fun. Or red, even. Red is a good color for Halloween as well. I really wanted to stay neutral. So on this version of coloring my bird, I'm pretty sure it's a combination of both grays and blacks. So I did a little bit more layered coloring with this particular bird, but ultimately the look of the bird is black. So I kept it pretty neutral, and you can choose to do whatever you want. Now, in terms of my Stampin' Blends throughout this class, I use my Gray Granite combo, I use my Smoky Slate combo, I use the basic black pretty much all throughout the class. And I also use Pebble Path, and that's more of like a brown gray. It's a little bit deeper, right, in its tone, but those are all great options. So, you may not have all of those colors, you may just have one or two of those, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But a lot of times when I'm playing with images or I'm coloring, I'm just trying to experiment with it and see how it looks. But I knew that I really wanted this bird to be almost like a raven. I considered bringing in like my Night of Navy and making it more of like a blue black, but ultimately I felt like gray granite was more of like a warmer gray, with the black look. So I just left it with the combination that I colored it in. But there are other things that will fit inside of that circle. It doesn't have to be the bird. And if you do like to do heat embossing, you could literally just stamp your sentiment in the center of that circle and not necessarily have an image, but a die cut version of the bird will be in your card kit. All you have to do is, stamp it. So, Stampin' Up has a policy that we cannot do the stamping for you, that you have to do the stamping. So, and it makes sense, right? So, we are allowed to like use our embossing folders for the class, which you will get. If you do the class where you spend $100 or more and you end up getting all 6 kits, one of the kits that we're about to work on does have the metal plate 3D embossing folder, and that embossing will be in one of your card kits as well. Okay, so you can see I'm just finishing up my bird, and I really kept it neutral tone. I did not even bring in, my pumpkin pie for the beak, which is what I typically use, but you could do different things. You could do, brown, you could do yellow. I'm going to pop the bird up on a dimensional, and when I held the bird up close to the screen, hopefully that you can see. Oh, and those are mini dimensionals, by the way. I happen to have mini dimensionals sitting on the table. I use regular dimensionals in the class, mini dimensionals, just use what you have. Um, but I recommend both sizes, for the larger and the smaller, like detailed dies. Goodness knows we have a lot of detailed dies. Okay, so now I am bringing in my Wink of Stella. It's like a glitter brush. It just adds this like overlay of really, really fine detail shimmer. And it really, to me, it's not like it's not bold, but you can see that it's there. Sometimes when I am coloring with Wink of Stella on white, I feel like maybe it gets a little bit lost or disappears, but I wanted those bubbles to have some sort of like a sheen or a glow. So there are different ways that you can go about that. If you want to, heat emboss those in clear, or, if you want to do what I'm doing here with the Wink of Stella, there are different ways you can stamp it in different colors. But this was really cool. I loved the way the Wink of Stella looked on this gray granite pattern paper. I thought it looked so cool. I felt like you could see them. I felt like it was simple, but it stood out. And then we're going to do our, oh my gosh, every single time I go to say it, the sparkle gems, I keep wanting to say shimmer, and that's because of the in color shimmer gems, but these are actually sparkle gems. So we're going to finish with our sparkle gems, and look at the way that the silver stands out against the black. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know if you like this color combination for Halloween because it does not have orange or it does not have purple, but I just love it. But if you do want to incorporate that color, there are easy ways to do it. And that is our back fold card, but we do need to stamp something for the inside. And so for this one, I'm going to do the Hocus Pocus greeting. And I am just sticking with black, but I think Gray Granite would have been great for that too. You still would have been able to read it, right? So keeping it simple with that one. And then we're just going to glue that right into our back fold card. And then we will be done with this one. So, this again is one of the card kits that you will get if you spend 100 or more. So the first 3 cards are at the $50, and then if you actually spend 100 before tax with me between July 21st and 31st, you'll get 3 additional kits, and this is one of the additional kits. Okay, so like I was telling you, I did a version of each of these cards in Potions and Spells, but also Playful Ghosts, which is also another stamp set with a Halloween theme that was launched with our online exclusives in July. So you can see Potions and Spells on the left, Playful Ghosts on the right. So again, the Potions and Spells class is public. It's for everybody. For people who make a purchase, you will actually get the card kits, and depending on how much you spend, that'll depend on if you get 3 or 6 kits. And then you will, if for people who make a purchase, in addition to the project sheet, they're going to get the Playful Ghosts version of the class. So same class kits, but you'll get to see all of the coloring, all of the details, the little tweaks and changes that I make to the cards, and it will give you even more ideas to use with your card kits. Okay, so here is card number 5. So this card, I have to say, is probably one of the most cool and one of the most colorful. This is a fun fold. Here is our fun fold element. When you get your card kit from me, it will actually be embossed like that. So that's the metal plate 3D embossing folder, which adds some great texture. Now we are looking at a few things here. We have a pumpkin pie card base. We have the nested essentials dies, the 2 of the largest in this particular shape, which I love, 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 love. Okay, and then the measurement on this actually is 4 1/4 by 11, and I am scoring it at 5 1/2, and then I am trimming 2 1/2 inches off of the edge, and then we can just save that piece of pumpkin pie for a different card. That's not going to be an element for this particular fun fold. Then our gorgeous grape piece is actually going to be 3 by 10 inches, and we're going to score it at 5 inches. And then we're going to emboss that with the metal plate 3D embossing folder only on one side, the front side there. And then we're going to need a layer for inside gorgeous grape. So we'll be using basic white at 2 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. You could make it smaller than that if you want to, but if you want to be able to, write a nice little note, I like that larger size for it. So I'm just literally lining this up with my embossing folder, and then we are going to run it through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm using my full-size machine for this particular size folder. And for the 3D embossing folders, the sandwich that you want is plate 1 and then the gray plate, which is plate 4. And you don't need any other plates in there with that. So just the 2 plates, and then you have your 3D embossing folder in the center there. So this is a fun element to do, with any class, but particularly I love the way our embossing folders look with Halloween card kits. Okay, so this becomes the fun fold element. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up sandwiching that gorgeous gray piece in there, but we're going to decorate it up a little bit more. We're going to add some DSP, some designer series paper, and we're going to do a little bit more background stamping. You guys can tell I really love this book stamp. Now, this time, I'm actually stamping in gorgeous grape ink. So this is entirely up to you, however you want to do this. Now I'm doing this freehand. So that's the first thing that I'll say. I should have had a ruler. And it just depends on whether you just want that natural character of things not being 100% straight or spaced out. But if you do like that precise, I probably don't even need to say it. You'll already have your ruler with you. But I'm stamping the Happy Halloween greeting in between, just to kind of create just shake up the pattern a little bit. But I love the way that it looked. So I had enough to get 3 of each in. So 3 Happy Halloweens and then 3 sets of books. Okay, we are going to go with the Nested Essentials dies, the 2 largest in this particular size, pumpkin pie and basic white. I almost said paper pumpkin. Isn't that funny? So I have 2 pieces of designer series paper as part of that card. And the one I believe is from Country Woods and the other one is from Country Lace. You can have so much fun when you are stamping a scene or building, and you do have enough room with this size die cut, not for a full cauldron, but if you want to do like a partial image, which is basically what I did here. I'm stamping in gorgeous grape ink this time. And I did do just a little bit of coloring. So let me just say that if you are planning to use the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers, that you should use Memento Tuxedo Black ink with that, because that ink is designed to not smear with alcohol blend markers. But there are times when you can stamp with our inks and still color the image, just being mindful of what and where you're stamping. So you can see I just stamped enough of the cauldron that you can see what it is, and we're just gonna basically build a small scene here. So a little hocus pocus is the phrase that I used. All of this is happening in gorgeous grape. I did want to use the bubbles, but I wanted to use them in a different way instead of them coming straight out of the cauldron. This is one of the things, right? Like when you're designing cards, when you're designing cards rather, or making a class, you want to sort of change things up. And so I thought, what if it looks like it's bubbling up all around the cauldron? So, I want it's always a thing with me about where I'm going to put my sentiment or where I'm going to put my greeting. And I thought I wanted the greeting to look like it was coming out. Now, if you are familiar with the masking technique, you can actually create a little mask for your greeting and then stamp the bubbles around it or over it. But I'm going to do my bubbles off to each side, and I absolutely loved the look, so almost as if something was like swirling, or like something was about to happen. So it's happening around the cauldron, and maybe it's going to start coming out of the cauldron soon. So, like I was saying yesterday, where we're always thinking it's going to be like smoke or fog or something or mist. There's always some sort of like an ambiance or a vibe. And so that was like the entire concept behind each of these cards. So we went from the simplest version of the cauldron, where there's no stamping around it, on our very first card, and all we did was add a little bit of goo, like a die cut goo piece, and put it on a card front. So that's like the simplest version of using the cauldron. And as we've been going through the class, we've been sort of stepping up how we're using our potions and bundles set. And so what I had done was just taken a piece of scrap paper just right there, and kept the line right at the edge of the cauldron, and did the little magic stars coming up out of the cauldron, and then the bubbles are on either side of it. I really like to color, so I wanted to keep that going. So that is basically what I am doing here. And I am following what the artist has done. So I'm just trying to go into those areas where I see any sort of line art of like a shadow or a hint of a shadow or some definition that has been created, and that's where I lay down the darker marker, and then I just come in and fill color with the lighter marker. Okay. That designer series paper, I think I was saying, was it came from like Country Woods and Country Lace. So you can choose whichever. I don't feel like whatever gray you choose has to be an exact match, but I have really enjoyed making the cauldron different colors. We have the all black cauldron, we have a basic black cauldron, we have a nice like gray cauldron. And then on my original card, which was another public video, I actually did one in like a whole combination of colors, like basic black and pebbled path. Now here, just to color coordinate with our card, I am making this handle orange. So we're using the pumpkin pie blends. I didn't do it in this class, but I really think it would be cool to do a version of this cauldron in like pumpkin pie and Cajun craze. So like I said, I didn't do that this class, but I think that that could be really fun. Now, in the middle of those little stars, they look hollow. There's just enough to add like a dot of color. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going around to those little, it looks like a diamond, and I'm literally just adding a dot of color. And it really helps. It really helps when you're building the scene. So I'm going to glue these two pieces together now, and we are going to assemble our fun fold. So, you know, we'll get to the adhesive in just a moment, but right now we're just gluing down our designer series paper panels. That one was from Country Lace, and that was cut at 2.5 inches by 4. This one is 4 by 5.25 inches. I believe this is the one that's from Country Woods. And now when you're going to adhere this, you could use Stampin' Seal Plus if you want the gorgeous great purple fun fold element. But what we're doing is just very quickly, we're going to stamp something on the inside. And so whatever, you want to add to the inside of that before we glue it down, I ended up just using my multi-purpose glue to do that. And here I am with the books again. It's a recurring theme throughout this entire and I'm basically stair stepping it just so that we have that edge there. But I could not stop using the books. But whatever your favorite image is, of course, just go ahead and do that in the corner. And then
our multi-purpose glue actually is a strong adhesive. It has a nice bond to it, but you just have to hold it in place for a minute. So you're going to meet that at the crease, center it, and then just hold it down. So the reason that I'm holding it down for a minute is because I used wet glue. Normally I would use Stampin' Seal Plus for that. So whenever you're gluing this down, make sure you're only putting adhesive on the left side of it so that the right side doesn't stick down. And that is your fun fold. So I must not have filmed myself adding the sparkle gems, but I did 2 sparkle gems on either side. You can see it there inside the bubbles, right around the cauldron. And so here is our finished card. This is card 5. This is the card that you'll get this with the card kits at the $100 level. And then here is another version of it with playful ghosts. So same exact card kit, but I just used playful ghosts instead of potions and bundles. And like I said, you'll get that playful ghosts class where you can see the coloring and all of that when you make that purchase. And that's for $50 or $100 level. All right. And then here is another version even of the card that I had made. This really showcases that DSP for Country Woods. So you're going to get the first one, the one that we made together today, as the card kit. And of course you can choose what stamps you want to go along with it. But I just wanted you to be able to see a couple of different versions of this card. And so, that last version was in black instead of orange, but you're going to get the pumpkin pie card bases. Now, I don't want to say that I have a favorite because I do love all of the cards, but this final card, card number 6 for our class today, is the most detailed, and it was the one that has been living in my head since I saw the Potions and Spells bundle online. We are using the Gone Fishing dies first. This is basic beige again. Now you can see that's an incredibly tight fit. That piece was cut at 4¼ by 5½, and you can cut the die at that size. But that die is basically an entire card front. So you will get to see those detailed curved edges, but this is one of those layering pieces. This is optional. And I'll tell you what I mean about that when we see the alternate version of the card later. But we're going to use basic black to do the tackle box, the tackle box die cut essentially. So the Gone Fishing dies are still available. They are so clever. I have seen people use this in so many different ways. You should, go on Pinterest and check it out. So many fabulous ideas with this particular set of dies. I wanted to use it to create like essentially either a bookshelf or a pantry. Okay, so all of the elements that we have to use in potions and bundles, I thought I really want to showcase them in a card, but I want them to kind of have their own spotlight, if you know what I mean. So I decided to go with the Gone Fishing die cut to do that. So essentially, we're going to turn this tackle box into shelves. Now, the other thing is that we have to cut the tackle box again in white. So for those of you who are going to make a $100 purchase, I just want to explain one thing about this kit. You see the layout as it is right now. This is the layout that we're going to use for this card. Do you see me popping out those white pieces? I'm only using one white piece for this card, but I'm actually going to give you all of the white pieces that go with it so that you can decide whether you want to use all of your die cut elements or whether you would rather stamp it directly onto the white piece. So some people prefer to stamp, some people like to add, die cuts and things like that. And if you do decide that you want to stamp it directly onto the white, I totally understand that. So I want to give you that option. You could stamp onto the basic beige too, but for your coloring, basic beige will change the colors very slightly, whereas with basic white, it will not. So you're going to get the basic beige panel that I am shading right now, and you're going to get all of the white pieces. For the sake of the card that I'm making here for this tutorial, I'm going to go with the die cut pieces, which you will also have in your card kit. And I cannot emphasize enough. I've never done a card with this much detail in a class before, ever, and I might never do it again. So we'll see. But I had to do this card. I had to make this card. So, as you can see, we have a shelf for the books. We have a shelf for the bird. We have two shelves that we're using essentially for the potions. But if you would want to do the potions straight across on a shelf, you could do that too. We have the cat on a shelf. We have the broom on a shelf. We have our super cool greeting. So here I am. I'm just going to stamp these images. All of these that we're going to be coloring are going to be stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black. And remember, that's because that's a safe ink to use with Stampin' Blends, meaning that it's not going to smear the ink. So I know I'm going to be coloring those images with Stampin' Blends. But again, if you don't want to get to that level and you would just rather stamp your images onto the white pieces and insert them inside each of the little squares, that's totally fine too. So you're going to get a ton of pieces with this. You'll either have some leftover white pieces that you could use on, on other cards, or, you could do an alternate version of this card. So, here we're going to do, our coloring right now. I'm going to do basic black combo for the cat again. I'm not going to explain it again because we've already done the basic black combo for the cat. The only variation is that the eyes on this cat are yellow and I used lemon lolly. Okay, and so same thing with the bird. We've colored our bird several times, but this bird combination is going to be in the grays. So we're going to be using gray granite, smoky slate, and then we're also going to be using the pumpkin pie blends for our bird in this version. Um, I'll be honest, I really wish that we had basic beige blends. We don't have the basic beige blends yet. We do have the ink, we have the refill, we have the cardstock, and we have a ribbon in basic beige. But I really think that we need blends in basic beige. And if we had those, I probably would have used them on the bird. I could have done crumb cake. I could have, I could have turned this bird a different color. I could have made the bird red, honestly, but I just really stuck with the blacks and the grays. I did question myself on that though. I considered doing something a little bit more bold. So you could have fun with this and don't feel like you have to use nature colors. You can make the bird purple and it would be just as cute. Same goes for the books. I actually tried to make the books look like they were old when I was coloring them, but you could, make the books really bold colors, really fun colors, stacked, and that would look just as cute too. Now, the one thing that I did not use on this card was the cauldron, but I would say it would be a fun idea to stamp the cauldron on the inside of the card. Maybe you could stamp it off once so that it's lighter and you could still write your greeting over it, or your little note to whoever's going to get this card. Or if you are going to do like treat boxes and things like that, this obviously would be a treat box that is for somebody very special. I wouldn't necessarily make multiples of this card. So that's our bird. Here we come with the books. And with the books, I went with yellow, orange, gray, and black. So you could do whatever combination that you like. I'm just coming in with the light lemon lolly and then kind of strengthening that up on certain parts of the binding of the book. Now I'm coming in with my grays. Oh, and I am doing just a touch of Poppy Parade for the edging of the one book. You can barely see it. So I was really careful with that. But I could have actually colored the whole book red if I really wanted that to stand out. For the potions, we're going to do our pumpkin pie combo, but I think Cajun Craze would have been a fabulous choice for that too. It's one of those things, right, where you would like to make different versions of it, but whether you're doing this on a treat box that would be around this size, you definitely would want it to be 4¼ by 5½, because of that back panel, the measurement on that basic beige panel that we cut first. And here, when when I was doing like the ream of paper, essentially this book from on its side, I was trying to do the darker grays on the edges and then the lighter gray in the center, just so that it looked a little bit aged and a little bit worn. But I don't know if I actually succeeded in that look. But all I will say is that it looks very cool. And now I'm just doing a black cover for this book. And just, again, being careful because these are thinner detailed lines. But if you do enjoy coloring, you're going to have a blast. And then in the end, when I was finished coloring the pages of my books, I decided to just do just a touch of lightener with the color lifter. Color lifter isn't an eraser, but it will help to lift out if you feel like it's too saturated or if there's too much color. Um, Okay, so it's assembly time. We're going to lay this onto our basic beige panel. I just used my small blending brush with Memento Tuxedo Black ink to create that little bit of a shadowy look in the 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. And the reason that I didn't do it in that 5th panel is because we're just going to overlay it with the white anyway. So it would have been completely covered. And you can, you can leave it completely alone. You don't have to do the blending, but it adds a nice touch and a nice dimension. So now we're adding in our grading, which fits so nicely. Now here we're going to do just a little bit of stamping before we add all of our elements. That one says a little hocus pocus, but what I did was I actually stamped it so that the two words a little were actually on the black, so you can't see it at all. So it just says hocus pocus on the very top of the top box. And now I'm just coming in with that little magic spray stamp, and we're just adding that into the corners. I'm going to bring in my pumpkin pie marker and add in that color. And even though it's in basic beige, you can still see it and it's still pretty, just a little bit different of a look. We're going to add the entire panel to our card base now. I love this combination of basic beige with orange. It really stands out to me. So it's not our classic white. If you have the Gone Fishing dies at home and you decide, or you're going to get the Gone Fishing dies and you want to use white as the back panel, that's totally fine. I just wanted to change it up a little bit because all of our die cut pieces are cut in white for the most part, the ones that we stamped. Now here is an independent stamp. This is our broom. I cut this in wild wheat, and I'm just adding a little bit of shading and coloring with the wild wheat blends. So this is the dark that I'm coming down and around, and it really does add texture. So while I would describe this as being an optional step, it's a highly recommended step. If you have the wild wheat blends, try it because it looks really fabulous. It really does add to the die cut, but of course it would stand alone without any coloring if that's the way you choose to do it. The broom stick is cut in pecan pie, and now I am angling that broom, which is in the bottom box, so that it can appear that my bird is perched on the broom. At least that was the look that I was going for. I'm putting all of our die cut elements up on dimensionals except for the broomstick. I felt like the broomstick was a little bit too thin. I could have used our foam strips, but I would have had to be very strategic about that. Now let's talk about these potion bottles. These were cut in gray granite cardstock. I decided to do a little bit of our in color glimmer paper as the potion inside the bottles. So these are actually 4 separate die pieces, and this is what I mean about those detailed elements. And we're going to add an even another level of detail just by bringing in our gray granite blends and just right along the part you'll see it on your die cut pieces, but there's like a little shadow of an arch inside the bottle. Like it embosses it, or it presses in that look. And I'm just literally following that curved edge there, that curved line with my markers, so just to give it a shadow. So that's essentially what we're looking at, is like a bottle with a little bit of detail and shadow on it. So the round bottle potion that I'm adding right now with a mini dimensional, that actually has peach pie glimmer paper, and then our longer bottle has summer splash glimmer paper. And if you're asking, am I going to get these little pieces in my card kit if I make the purchase? Yes, you are. So just be patient with me. That's why I'm planning to ship these kits mid-August, because there's going to be a lot of cutting and there's going to be a lot of detail, but it's so worth it. And then of course we just stamped Happy Halloween on our inside panel. This inside panel was cut to 4x5 1/4. For my standard size cards, that's typically what the inside of my card always is size wise. For people who've taken my classes in the past, you get a lot of these inserts because I like to use a lot of color cardstock. And yes, you could use a black pen right on, pumpkin pie. You don't have to glue in the insert if you don't want to, but I just think it looks better. And there are some cardstocks that are too dark unless you used like a white or a silver pen, you wouldn't be able to see. So there are different fun things that you can do if you would rather write on the color, card base. But I always include a white insert for these darker card bases so that you can do it on white if you want. And we just stamped Happy Halloween and pumpkin pie on the inside. So this concludes the potions and spells class. So all in all, there are 6 card kits. If you place an order for 50, you'll get the first 3 card kits on top there. And if you place a $100 order, you're going to get all 6 cards that you see there. And the reason for, the order amounts is because these are a ton of work. But I think that this was such a fun class. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, before we go, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. I do alternate paper pumpkin videos every month. We're going to be getting into working on Christmas theme cards in July, or I'm sorry, not in July, in August. I decided to switch it up this year and do Halloween first, just in case we run out of this product. I really wanted this bundle to still be available for this class. But if you give the video a like, a comment, a share, it goes a long way in helping the channel. And honestly, if you know people who like to craft ahead of the season, they really want to get started early, somebody who does like to send Halloween projects or Halloween cards, please share this video with them so that they can get a look at it and see the cards. This video is available for everyone, so you guys can take the video and run with it. But for those of you who do place orders with me, just know that all of these card kits, all of that die cutting will be done for you, and all you'll have to do is stamp and glue it. So before I end this video, I'm also going to show you the Playful Ghosts version of this class, because those of you who do place a $50 or $100 order with me, you're going to get the video. So there will be a video tutorial just showing you how I made each one of these cards, the different variations. But aren't they cute? Didn't they just turn out just as cute as the other ones? I love these too. So this is what the Playful Ghosts class video is going to detail. So all of our same card kits, but you'll get to see all of the different elements that I used, the different types of coloring, just my little tips and tricks for using the Playful Ghosts. And I will have a product list of what, I'm recommending on my blog. But my top 3 recommendations are the Potions and Spells bundle, the Playful Ghost stamp set, and if you can swing it, the Under the Moon stamp set as well. I feel like all of those just need to go together, and in, stamping in combination, it's going to be an absolute wow. Okay, so we have free shipping. Just as a reminder, again, we have free shipping coming up on July 23rd on orders of 75 or more. That is a Stampin' Up promotion. And of course, the Halloween class and placing the orders with me, that is a promotion that I am doing. So if you want that free shipping, you can do that. If you are in my In Color Club and you want to get the next month's products, do it on free shipping day. That's totally fine. I will honor that. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.